Hey guys, I'm Soumya. Welcome back to the Digital Designer Show along with my co-host Sivam.
So, hey guys, so today we have two special guests with us, both husband and wife. So, here we go. She is an extreme humble and bold lady residing from Chennai with life of amazing decisions at every point of life. She completed her engineering from College of Engineering in Chennai, went to US, completed her master from Ohio State University, worked for a high-paid IT job. She used to do social work, fell in love with a gentleman, and got married. But when she found everything was favorable in life and nice, she refused to stay in US and decided to return India when heart called for a change. Quitted a high paid job, came to India, prepared for civil services, and cracked it in second attempt with a woofing rank, All India rank 298. She joined IA and AS, which is Indian Audit and Accounting Services. She currently holds the position of Deputy Director Information Technology at CAG. Let me introduce her and welcome her, Miss Monica. And the other person, he has been our guest, Mr. Pradeep. Welcome you both. Thanks a lot.
Hi Shivam, hi Soumya.
Hey guys.
Hi Shivam, hi Soumya. Thank you for the grand introduction. I'm trying to recover from it still, but thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It's a great pleasure that we are having you both, and our listeners know about Pradeep very well because of the listeners' perspective of music, the immense knowledge what he has shared in last podcast. So I have known both of your quite of stories, and I really want to first ask. The first thing is that we want to know about the three phases of your life. The life which you had before marriage, when you were in US, you had studies, then you worked, did a lot of good social working. Then after marriage, when you got married, even when you were in US, and when everything was going so nicely, and you could have got stayed in US because a lot of people from India, they wanted to stay abroad itself rather than coming back to India. You both decided to come back, quit a good woofing job which was paying you very high, and started preparation for UPSC and crack it in second attempt. So this whole journey, we would really love to hear from your perspective, how it happened, why you made so good decisions in each point of life, and how both of you were together in those moments which really helped to move and support of each other, because without support I believe things do not move very comfortably.
I probably start my story a little earlier than going to US. When I was, when I was probably in the middle school, that's when, I was born in 1982. So when I say middle school, it's about a couple of decades back. And when I was in the middle school, I heard this term, brain drain, for the first time. When, it was a very popular term at that point of time because people were emigrating into other countries because India was not offering opportunities for people to set up their careers. And everybody was, very worried about it because we had a rich source of population which was leaving the country. So at that point of time, when we were discussing a lot about this and debating about this, I had basically in my mind said, my brain should be used only for my country. So I somehow had that staunch thing in my head that whatever I do, that should contribute to my countries in some way or the other. So I'm not generally physically active, so for me it's something like serving the nation, not in the army but otherwise sort of a thing. So in the first place, I never wanted to go to US, and my mother said that if you go to US and get some experience, and then if you still choose to come back, then it's a different story. But without seeing the world, you can't be like a frog in the well, sort of a thing. And until I left for US in 2003, I was a perfect nerd. mostly rank one in classes, and I would always say yes to my parents, whatever they say, and after school I'd probably come home and then probably go to temple or something like that. So I was like this perfect nerd who went to the US, and for the first time I learned what life meant there. And I always keep saying that I sort of lit myself alive, burned myself to ashes, and rebuilt myself brick by brick to this new personality, which my mother refused to recognize when I came back. She basically, for her, it was like, "Where's my daughter? What have you done with her?" sort of a thing. So when I went up to Ohio, the first year I didn't have any scholarship, but I had this huge ego that I will not ask money from my parents, because my aunt and my uncle were already supporting me for the fees, which was quite high, and I didn't want to ask them for my everyday daily needs. So I used to work in odd jobs, like I used to clean plates in commons, as they call it. It's a mess, it's like a college mess. In the university is called commons, and I've always believed in values such as unity, not having dignity of labor and things like that. But when I started my first day in that hostel, where I had to my first job was to clean a plate, in the sense you had to take off, differentiate organic versus inorganic. You'd be given some pair of gloves. You just take the inorganic stuff which you can't dispose of, and put it in the dustbin, and place the plate on a conveyor belt. I remember 15-20 minutes into it, I had tears coming out of my eyes, and I felt very ashamed, and I felt very contradicted, because in my head I always had this proud feeling that I never differentiated people. I always, whether they were poor people, rich people, what sort of job they did, I never differentiated. But here I was doing a job and I felt ashamed. So I thought I was this hypocrite who basically believed that she believed something, but actually when it came to doing it, why should I feel ashamed? So that was the first point when I actually questioned myself. And then on, there are a lot of experiences that happened in US, which basically makes you an individual. So you basically discover yourself, who you truly are, and sort of rebuild yourself from scratch. So then I still had this calling in my head that I should do something for India. I should do something for India. So I went and joined this NGO there. It was Association for India's Development. I used to do a lot of work for them, but still I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to be part of something where I was helping in building the nation. So that's when I met Pradeep, and we were very, very good friends for a couple of years, and then we fell in love, and then we got married and we came back. And I think after the marriage, we were just there for a year. And then I felt at that point of time, we finished off all our education loans and so on. So I think I really thought that if I don't take the move now, I will never move out. So, and then we decided, and to Pradeep knew the deal when he got into the relationship that I was wanting to go back to India. So I was very clear, and I told him that, this is where I want to be, and unless, if you're not comfortable with it, you should let me know, sort of a thing. So, and then we came back, and then when I was thinking, and I thought I should become part of bureaucracy, the government, to help the nation. And so the first time when we came back, I wrote the exam, and I couldn't clear. Even the first level I couldn't clear because I didn't know what the exam was about. So, but the second time when I did it, I sort of had a year to prepare, so I was able to figure out how to crack the exam, and I moved on. So far so good, and I'm happy that I came back, no regrets. So far so good, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. And the point when you said, Monica, that while washing the plates, you went through a thought that why should I feel ashamed of, and and definitely that really that moment made us emotional. Also, like I was even when listening, I thought, oh, that's really
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely emotional. I got emotional at that point of time, and we want to even listen to if you have any other moments which really made you made stronger as an individual in US, and
Sure.
and how you met Pradeep and how you felt that he is the man. He is the man. Or why
Okay.
how Pradeep felt that she is Monica. She is the one. Yeah.
Okay, that how he felt, he will answer. Okay, from my side, yes, one thing as I said, I thought of rebuild my character, and so a couple of other things I can probably say is there was again, I was working all these part-time jobs which were not like normal jobs. Basically, parents sent you to actually study, but I was doing this odds and bits job for the first year. Second year, I went into research. So I think the other job that I was doing was I was working for a burrito shop. Okay, and that burrito shop, opened only in late nights. So the shop opened at like 7. So I had a shift from 8:30 to 3 in the morning or something like that. So I would do Fridays and Saturdays on that, and Friday and Saturday nights are very popular party nights in US, and so basically at that point of time people would come very drunk and. So I was making this, burrito, and this particular guy, who came in, and he wanted the burrito really full, like he wanted to double the meat, double the, everything double, and it was really hard to roll it, and I somehow rolled it, and ensured that it was intact and gave it to him, and he got so excited about it. Obviously, he was drunk. But he was so happy. He applauded and he said, "You are so awesome! You made it!" And he made a whole, drama out of it. But that part of I think he said, "You are awesome," about probably like 10 times. Like, "You are awesome! You are awesome! You are awesome!" Somehow magically, those words affected me, and even though I was probably not doing a great job, I was just rolling a burrito, but still, that sort of was very important at that point of time, and I probably never forget that guy. And there was also this. I also had a third job, which is like tutoring. So there was a African American Association. So you could volunteer to teach them. Like I chose to teach them math. And so there was this guy who was 45-year-old. Okay, so he had come from Namibia, something like that. So he left his family there because he couldn't make ends meet in Africa. So he wanted to come to US, and he believed that if he gets educated and gets a college degree, he would be able to get a better job. So at 45 years of age, he was doing a bachelor's degree. And that again, struck very strongly with me, because again, what that told me is no matter what your age is, because one of the things that when I came back to US, from US basically, I wrote the exam when I was like 28 years old, and people generally don't write their first attempts when you're 28 years old. You start at like 21, 22 and so on. But he gave me a lesson, he gave me an inspiration, saying that at any age, if you choose to follow your dreams, you should just do it. That's all. You shouldn't think about it. Just go chase it. So I think that is again something that I would cherish in my heart. I have this craving to clean things. So I think the first time when I met Pradeep was when I was cleaning in his apartment. So he was, actually it was not his apartment, his friend's apartment. So when, at that point of time, you were considered very good because you would be if you know how to cook. Like if you know how to cook, you would be considered a little goddess sort of a thing, because you have a lot of these bachelor guys who don't know how to cook, right? So we had a mutual friend, and the first time when we met, it was at his place, and his friend's place, where I had been invited to cook chicken. So I think that's where I first met him. But at that point of time, I didn't have much of a very good impression or anything about him. The only thing I later realized was that we used to, getting a scholarship is very important. Because that sort of they give you stipend at the end of every month, so your your everyday needs is taken care by that. So we heard that there is this guy who's not got scholarship for 2 years, and he's still remaining strong and going strong. So we used to say, hey, that guy didn't get for 2 years, yeah. It's been only 6 months for us. We should not lose heart. Let's also try again. So I then later find out this guy was that guy. So
Also, I hear all these statements. I joined. I am a senior to Monica, and I did not know the junior batch much. But when I met these guys, they had known me, and this is what they told. I was surprised that how I have become an inspiration for these guys without even knowing.
So we always used to say that, there's this guy here who's been trying for 2 years, let's not lose heart, yeah, we will get it. So that then later I knew that Pradeep was that person. And then after that, I think he moved from north part of the campus to south part of the campus where I lived. And then after that, I think again, after they moved, they didn't know how to light a stove. So I went and helped them to again start the stove, cook and clean. So I used to then frequently visit to again cook in his house, and then we did a lot of cleaning together. I still remember us having this, even then, he had this basement. He must have told you about his basement, and he had
I just have to, basically, her batchmate, there was one guy who was my roommate, and because of that, all the juniors would used to visit our home. And while she used to visit, because I had this roommate who was a friend, we had chance to talk to each other, and she would help us to clean the house and so on.
So then also he'd have a lot of music. There'll be music all around the house, and then we'll be cooking and cleaning and partying, and so his house became this place where we could all gather together. All Tamil girls and guys could there were a few Bengali, North Indian people as well, but mostly I think it was a South Indian gang where we could meet
our
together.
House was called the Fun House in the campus.
So that went on, and I think for 2 years it just went on, and then everybody started getting a job, and they started leaving that group. So and then in the end, there were only probably 3 to 4 of us left in the university from that gang. There were other juniors coming in and so on. And then, I realized that I was very emotionally closer to him. And we also did an interesting project where I was his, a buddy to help him quit smoking. That was quite an interesting project that we did when we were friends. And then I didn't want my feeling towards him to grow unnecessarily unless and until I know that he also is feeling the same way. So I felt very guarded, because I didn't want to get hurt. So I think at one particular day, I think around September 1st, the midnight of September 1st, I think about 2005 or 6 or something like that. And so I told him that I would like to ask him a question. So I said, can I ask you something? So he said, of course, yes. Then I wasn't really sure. His birthday is September 12th. So I told him, can I ask you on the birthday? He said, okay, fine, up to you. And then we were silent for about a few seconds. And he said, you know what the joke is? The joke is that I know what you're going to ask and you know what I'm going to tell you. And then he smiled. That's all. So that was our proposal to each other.
That was so romantic, actually.
I really asked once when we were in cab, myself and Pradeep, we were in cab, and I did ask him that, like how it happened, and he did tell me this story, and I was so much happy with, like I was telling, okay, so Pradeep, you used to be this puzzled, the way you used to speak puzzled way in so you proposed that way only. So it was really very nice. I know what you are going to ask, and you even know that what I'm going to answer. So this was a wonderful line.
Yeah.
I really
and you both guys are very lucky, actually, and very few couples tend to meet each other and then marry and live together. That's a different story, actually. So
True.
I will say congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You are right. I mean, I feel very, lucky because to find a guy who shares the same value system as you have is not something that generally it doesn't happen that way. You're right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And regarding this, as you said, this everything was going very favorable and everything was there. And you mentioned that you were always having this mind that you will go back to India, you will work for India. I'm totally clear about it. But what happens when we actually get a job? We forget our dreams and we really find what we have got is very high and we should continue with it. For example, you were in US, people love to go there as a cream and they want to stay for long to get a green card. But even at those point of time, what made you decide no, we have to go back, and then you started the preparation for these UPSC, and at the same time, because you were married, how you also managed your family, because you're married, so you came back to India, you have to manage the family also, you have to manage your studies also. So how these all things went along aside, and how you were so much fixed to the dream that, okay, I want to get this means I want to get this.
So in my head, though, I had that fixation in my head. So the only decision I had made was that I wouldn't apply for green card. That's the only decision I made, and I forgot about my dream completely. Because what happened was I graduated in about August 2005, and I had about a year of education loan. The second year I had a research scholarship, but the first year's loan was there. It was about 10-12 lakhs or something like that. And so I knew that if I go back to India at that point of time, then I won't be able to pay back so much, because in India you don't generally earn so much, or basically it will take me longer years to pay. So in my head, that loan was for my education, and I wanted to work in US and finish it off. And by that time, I had fallen in love with that country also. So then for some point of time, I didn't have a job, and I had to switch streams. I was doing a specialization in speech processing and artificial intelligence, but I couldn't find any job in that, so I had to switch to IT. And I found a job, and thankfully in the same place that Pradeep was working, in the state of Michigan, and I grabbed it, because it was not easy to find the job in the same place as your boyfriend has earlier, and so on. So then what happened was that was a fantastic career, though. I mean, my career in Hyler was very, very adventurous. So I was in And I think everything happened for a purpose now, thinking back, because my career was oriented like this. We had a product to sell, and my job was to sell that product. It was a product information management product, but it also meant that I had to help people in that particular company to make a change from what they were doing traditionally to come to IT. Okay, so it was a change management. So everywhere I went, I had to take this product, understand their needs, speak to them, and then make the product work for them. So that was my job. So I would basically travel from Monday to Friday, and I would be there at back at home probably during the weekends. That's all. And I got to see so many people. I met so many people. And if you had seen me probably in 10th grade or 12th college for that matter, I wasn't like a very vocal person. I basically was completely reserved, and I think my longest friendship is with Swati, my friend, whom I met in the 10th grade. And since I used to study in many different schools, I didn't have like permanent friends at all. So, and I was generally reserved. I generally wouldn't talk, but nobody would believe me. Whoever meets me today can never believe me that I'm not vocal. So from that reserved person, I started becoming this person who can understand, communicate well, speak to people, lead changes, and so on. So I think, looking back in the hindsight, I think it's a preparatory work for what I'm doing right now. So right now also I am in a change management process where I am helping my organization undergo change. So I was like madly in love with my career. So, I would go, and that company encouraged you like anything. So they will give you like, the performance linked bonuses were high, and within no time I reached a 6-figure salary, and, the traveling was great, the per diem was great. My first car was Honda Accord. I think I drove about 30,000 miles or something on that, and I was really mad. Like I had clients in Canada, so I used to just drive I will wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock, start driving, 5 hours, reach there, 9 to 5, I'll hold the meeting, 5 o'clock I start back, I come back to Michigan at 10 o'clock in the night. So I think, so there was all this rush of money and, everything was there. But then at some point of time, I think I don't exactly remember the moment. I think there was this one day when I realized that what am I doing? I think especially after the loan started, we were starting to finish off our loans. We finished off my loan. We finished off Pradeep's loan. We went to India, got married, came back. So there was no need for me to stay here anymore. And why am I still here? That was the question. So then I think that particular day I sat back and I discussed with Pradeep also. I think it is now or never. Because now, at least earlier, I had this reason to tell myself, nahi loan hai, I have to give back to now marriage ke liye, you have to gather money, you have to save money. For this you have to save money, for that you have to save money. But now I don't have any such needs. But still, I am not going back. So I think at this point of time, if we don't make the decision to go back, we will never go back. We'll be stuck here forever. I think that fear got into my head. And then actually we made the change in no time. I think this decision was made, and within the next 3 months Pradeep was there in India, and I think 3 months after that I was back in India. So it was just a quick change. And
just to add to what she is saying, you asked about how you made all the decisions so that you will achieve your dream. But actually, things work the other way around. When the goal is set, it is like, her direction was set. And any decisions that comes her way, subconsciously is steered towards, your goal. Most of the times, if we don't know what we want, then you could make so many different decisions. But subconsciously, if you are clear that this is where I want to go, then I think without consciously thinking about it, you make decisions which steer you towards that. I think a little bit of that also happened for us. Yeah, and also people always talk about the power of dreams and the power of goals. Once we got married, then we were able to one day we were just digging into her old stuff and we found one of her scrapbook, which was, I don't know, she wrote it when she was in her 9th standard or 10th standard. And interestingly, she had written a list of dreams. I don't know, 10, 15 points she had written. And she had completely forgot about that book until we rediscovered that book while we were cleaning up the attic and so on. Yeah, go ahead. You want to add? Yes.
No. I just wanted to say, for example, I had Swati. Swati is basically probably the longest friend I've had, and so I always still have a special place for Swati. So there used to be this Will's cigarette advertisement that used to come in the paper. So where there are two couples, a boy and a girl and a boy and a girl. I had cut it out and stuck it on the dream notebook, and I wrote this: me, my husband, Swati, my husband. And incidentally, all 4 of us were in Michigan only. And Pradeep was, such a great friend to Vijay, who is Swati's husband. And, all 4 of us had become family friends. And I didn't even remember that I had this dream when I was in, 10th or 12th grade and I had written it. So it was very magical to look back at it.
And she was also surprised to find that she had written a Honda car in her dream list, which she was already having. So the idea here is like, certain things that you set the direction, then many things happen subconsciously, and it evolves itself towards that direction.
Yeah, it makes me say this line from Shah Rukh Khan's movie that if किसी चीज को तुम शिद्दत से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात तुम्हें उसे मिलाने की साजिश में लग जाती है, kind of. When you really like something and you've kept it, the things are gonna happen because something like law of attraction or secret something, you are attracted to that thing, so it will gonna happen. And I heard this this scratchbook story from Pradeep, and I was so much happy that wow, it really happened. It's so nice. So coming back to the same thing, when you made a decision and it happened so much fast, like in 3 months you back to India. And I totally agree that, understand that the US experience is not going to count in India experience, or I'm not sure about it. So how it happened in India, and how it's been since, because you were married that time, how you managed your family with your preparations also, and how, it made it happen, the complete thing, you made it happen.
Again, it was again a relearning experience for me when I came back to India, because for me India was this dream, right? So I had to serve the nation, build the nation, and things like that. And I had India, in such a high pedestal, and I came back, and I thought, it would be an easy journey because I've reached India, right? This is where I wanted to be, and I've come back. And I didn't have a problem managing family and preparing for the studies, because I had a lot of support from Pradeep. So generally, he is not a person who shies away from sharing work at home. So like even during this time, he cooks lunch, I cook breakfast and dinner. So we always have been more of partners and friends. So I didn't have a problem managing family as well as studies. And we had, even with respect to managing our parents and things like that, one thing that we have always been very transparent about what we want to do to the parents, and he has always, remained supportive. Like even when I talk to my in-laws or when I talk to my parents and so on, he would be there standing like a pillar beside, and so he would. So that part was not difficult, especially when you have your partner by your side. But what was difficult for me is I came to India, and I still remember we settled in Bangalore. and I was going to this class from, we lived in a place called Yelahanka, and I had to go to the center of the city for classes. And so I was standing, when I was coming back from classes, I didn't have a straight bus. And so I was standing in this bus stop, and that it was dark and I was alone, and a car came and stood beside the bus stop. And this fellow came out. He went behind the bus stop. I think he urinated, and then he came back and he said, "Chalegi kya?" Which basically meant, "Will you come with me?"
Oh.
Right? I was so shell shocked. I was like, "What the hell, man? What are you asking?" So I said, "No, I don't want to." And then he was insisting. He was like, "So what else are you going to do? Why wouldn't you come with me?" On and on and on about it. And I wasn't like wearing any modern clothes or anything like that. I was just practically wearing a salwar and a kameez and with dupatta and everything properly. And I had a backpack, that's all. And then this fear came into my heart. I mean, somewhere along the line, again, this, fear came, and I didn't know what to do. And thankfully, the bus, which I was supposed to catch, came that instant. And then I just ran into the bus, and I sat there and I couldn't, help but just cry.
That's a shocking moment, actually.
And at that moment, I fell out of love with my country.
Mm-hmm.
It was so instantaneous. It was like, what am I doing here? Because when I think again in hindsight, it's probably immature to suddenly fall out of love as well. But for me, one thing that in US that never happened was I didn't have to worry who I was as a woman in US, because many a times I've even taken the car. If Pradeep was traveling and I was alone and I felt really bored, I would just take the car, go to the theaters, buy a ticket, just walk in, sit there, watch some favorite funny movie, and then come back. And I never felt fear. I never felt different as a woman. So I think when I came back, the first thing that hit me was I was treated different because I was a woman. And I think at that point of time, my whole belief system, my whole dream, and my whole, just moving towards a particular direction, everything got a bit shaked and shattered. And I couldn't forgive myself, first thing, because I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, I didn't hit him. Like I didn't hit him. I didn't curse him. I didn't do anything. I was just standing there scared. That's all. I didn't do anything. And then I couldn't forgive the society, which has created such a insecure environment for a woman. And I couldn't forgive the governance system, which again had no outlet or some kind of a grievance redressal mechanism. And I was like so angry. So I think again that was a phase where I was very angry for a long period of time with the country. I think again after that, when I slowly, over the next, I think 1 or 2 years, I think again I understood that I was just immature and overreacting, and then I came back to my path again. That's another story. But yeah, so for me, I think the aspect of probably dealing family and the preparation of exam was not a difficult thing. I generally learned very quickly, so cracking the exam was not something that I felt burdened about, but understanding India as it was and as it is was again a relearning experience for me. And so again I had to sort of reorient myself to survive again in my country. So again, that was the thing. Yeah.
So like many women in our country, they want to do something for themselves. Like you had a dream to serve the country, but not joining by army, in the other way around. So for the woman, like as we know that you started preparing for UPSC after marriage, so it was obviously a joint effort by you and Pradeep to crack that exam. So I just want to ask you that what all strategies and compromises you both made to lead clearing that exam in second attempt.
The reason behind asking is that there are so many women who actually want to prepare for something. They have got to marry because very early, in very early marriages. Even I have seen some few people in my family who have got into marriage very early, the girls, and they want to crack, want to prepare something. So the point of view is asking for both of you, not only one, that what should be the strategy from both of the side, from the husband side and also from the women who is actually want to prepare. What all the strategy you had, and what all the suggestions you want to give to those women you can give, because that will really add a value to in their life for preparation. They can also prepare. If they cannot go outside, they can go online or whatever. But we really want to listen to it from both of you. Yeah.
Sure. Just for the sake of preparing UPSC, these days resources are plenty. Okay, so access to resources is not the issue that any man or woman, for that matter, will face. But what challenge you would have is to have the time. So to have the time and the focus and the energy to invest in chasing your dream. So for me, whether it is writing a bank exam or a UPSC exam, or or chasing your dream, you want to be a singer, you want to be, you want to play an instrument, whatever it is. I think the first thing what everybody should understand is that they need the time to invest and build this for themselves. So what I would say is, especially in a relationship, right? The first thing, I always feel that there is individuality. So there is you and I, and there is we. So if you lose we, then also it's a problem. If you lose you and I as individuals, then also it's a problem. So it's important to retain the individuality plus the togetherness all the time. So if your wife, or for that matter your husband, has a dream and they would like chase it, they should support each other. They should, and supporting each other in the sense that, what can the other person do? The other person can give time. Give time in the sense, if there are, 10 things to be done, he could share, household job a little bit, or arrange for a maid or a cook or something like that. And then encourage. When at times when you are in self-doubt, and when you when you do not know whether you will be able to make it, and you're trying and you're not succeeding, so emotional support. So I think if you want to, I don't think there's a formula for it, but if you're able to give each other the physical and the emotional support, I think anybody should be able to chase their dream. And the important thing that for the other partner to understand is, if you don't allow your partner to chase their dream and retain their individuality, it's actually very dangerous for the relationship. So it is important that you support your spouse to chase their dreams. So at least for your relationship's sake, you should do that, if not for anything. So you might not believe in the same dream. You might think, for example, Pradeep never thought that. But for example, Pradeep could have thought that, what is serving India? Yeah? What will you do by serving India? These people, will never, change. You can't change these people. Well, I don't know what you're on about. He could have thought that way. But you don't have to, believe it yourself. You believe it for her. Is my only request from the husbands or the wife, the other way also. So today is a world of information, and I don't think there will be any constraint with respect to accessing resources at all. It is more of willpower and discipline that you need to put in to chase your dream. and with, of course, support from your spouse, physically and emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to add to what she's saying, if the couple share a common, core values, I would say, okay, or their thoughts are more aligned, okay, in that cases, the support that a spouse can provide the other person is very straightforward, like she told. You have to make the time, make them comfortable, support them physically, providing more time and a little bit of encouragement. That is good. When you're already in a relationship in which the core values are different, it is a big challenge. Okay, then it comes into the territory of which takes more priority for you, and it's a much challenging thing. But what we can, or I can advise for younger people is, whenever you find a partner, there are many different people, especially in India. There are people who will say, I will marry whoever my parents point their finger at. Or there'll be people like, I will find the person whom I want. And even in the people who want to find their partner, they are not clear on what they are looking for in the partner. Apparently, you want your partner to complement you, not be the same as you. Many a times people think that your partner should be same as you, which is not very interesting. Rather, the core values should match, like, honesty, integrity, or you lead to you love to lead a simple life, or you lead to live a very flamboyant life, or you are a very, theoretical person, into more like, books and other things, or somebody who tends to work in a practical field. There should be some alignment on core values. And once you have that alignment, whether you like to watch football or cricket doesn't matter.
True.
Like if you like cricket, I'll watch a little bit of cricket with you. If I like football, you watch a little bit of football with me. That's all. But the bottom line is we should be interested in sports. So bottom line for people who are going to get into a relationship, do not get into the details. Do not expect the other person to be the same, but share a common core value. What are the fundamentals on which you are building your character? You just match that, and many of the things will sort out by itself.
Actually, he's very right, because if you actually both of you bring two things, right, A and B, I can 200% guarantee you that if Pradeep chooses A, I will choose B, and if I choose A, Pradeep will choose B. Our general interest in activities and tastes and everything are completely opposite to each other. I still remember when Pradeep took me to a restaurant for dinner. They had you can buy appetizer and the main course and dessert, right? So and it was a package deal. We could just do it, and there were choices. So I still remember the waitress asked soup or salad. So he said salad, I said soup. She asked baked potatoes or french fries. I said french fries, he said baked potatoes. And something in the dessert, there was something which is hot and cold, and something the other one was different, and we chose. And she started laughing to see that we have nothing in common. So, but what we both have in common is we both believe that lying is bad, and we should never lie to each other. That is something we have in common. So if you see the fundamental, values, given a choice to choose between a simple life and a rich life, both of us will choose simple life. So I think if you invest in finding a partner who shares your core values, that will help you. Don't look at the superficial things. He might, like English movies and I like Tamil movies. That's a different story. But as long as you, share those common values and you invest in finding such a person, I think that helps a long way. But as he said, if you're already in a relationship and you may not share common values, and so on. I think it is important to take the time to communicate to your partner why it means so much for you, and constantly keep doing that without getting frustrated, and keep moving one step at a time. I believe in one thing, that if you have something to achieve, no matter what, you keep moving. You might move 10 steps, you might move only half a step, it doesn't matter. Just keep moving one step every day, and in no time, after 2 years, you would see you are much closer than where you were, and ultimately you would be there. Never stop moving, just keep moving, even if it is one step, even if it is half a step, keep moving every day. So even if you don't have a partner who completely understands you, who supports you, I think you should constantly communicate to that partner and keep moving every day. I think that is more important.
I completely agree, and I was about to ask this core value thing also, but you came up with totally. And because see, when I fell in love with 2 times, and I felt that she is the one, and neither of turned it right.
Yes,
Neither turned it right, because and now I understand that core values were not matching, and that's why even I was about to ask this point, that like for a youth, how he should have this checklist of the core values, which are minimum core values they should understand, minimum core values they should see in between each other, like
Just very
something like checklist, something.
I'll just tell you, see, core values. There is no list of core values. It is, for me,
Okay.
if you write the top 10 important things which is most important for you on how you want to lead your life, and if you take the top 4 points, that is your core value.
See, one thing I really, I've always wanted to say this. You know what these movies and films do, right? It exaggerates this relationship to such an extent. When the guy sees the girl sees the guy, as if no other relationship in the world ever before was working well. And this is the only relationship you ever wanted in your life. I first of all, think that we should not treat this relationship any different than your relationship with your mother, your father, or your brother, or your friend. Okay, how do you find friends? Is there a checklist for friendship?
No,
right?
No.
It's something like that, because if you are able to have somebody as a friend,
I think it's completely natural.
it's good. She or he will be good enough, to be your partner. If he or she can be your friend, and you're able to accept each other. So as long as you're able to accept each other as you are, right, that is more than enough to survive as partners than anything else. So if you're able to become a friend, then I think taking the friendship to the next level is not something that you should feel difficult. But what happens in when you define this as a very special relationship, like bells are ringing and things like that, right? You try so hard. You cover your mistakes, you cover your weaknesses, because you want to impress, you want to not show yourself, not show your true self, because you have this feeling of getting rejected, and you try so hard in the beginning, so the other person will like the projection that you have created and not yourself. So I think you should just find friends. So if I have to give advice for the younger generation, I'll say you just become friends, and if you are able to mutually tolerate each other as friends, you should be able to mutually tolerate each other as partners if both of you are willing to take it to the next level. So I don't think there is any more. I don't think you will become a friend, whom you can't tolerate, right, or accept. So,
right, exactly, and when we really we see, like, when we ignore the core values and we focus on other things to impress people, at some time, today or tomorrow, when we show our own self, it actually don't work that way, and it just breaks up. Yeah, exactly. And you have said a very nice point. We both have that the core values. I really appreciate this point that core values should match, because at the end of the day, when you stay for long and long, the things comes up very natural, and you become the way you are. Your own self will come up, and that time you cannot tolerate each other, because initially it was just a building which you are forming with just a thermocol kind of. That brings me to another point to both of you, and first I will start with Pradeep. After marriage, I have heard it very good wonderful tips from him, and I really want our listener to know that after marriage, what all the things you did in the relationship that made the relationship very transparent and stronger in regards. Like first one was with husband and wife, which brought the transparency. Second, between the families, and the third, when you live in a joint family. When you live in a joint family, how you manage the financial point of view. Even when you are between each other, like husband and wife, how you take care of the financial point of view, and other thing, how you bring transparency and strong willing, which moves the family to a very long point. I would like to start with Pradeep. Please, Pradeep.
Yeah. So here, how to nourish a relationship, as you told in your statement itself, the transparency is very important. So first thing is transparency. You be what you are and you talk what you are, and you let your partner see what you are as it is. So do not do like they say, if you are transparent and when there is no reason to hide anything, you are not going to do something wrong. If there is something wrong, only subconsciously you are trying to hide that and do. So be very transparent with your spouse. That is one important point. And be encouraging of their dreams, their wishes. Be encouraging of what they want to do. That is another important thing. And from a heart, it is not only the man and the woman joining hands in a wedding. It is two families which are coming together. So have a good regard for the whole family. Everybody matters. If your father is not happy, if your brother is not happy, you will not be happy. And the same thing is for your wife too. So even if we ignore one of the family members, but subconsciously it will be hurting us. So the well-being of one another and the whole extended family, you should have a good thought for that, and you should work towards that one. So that is important to have a good, valuable relationship. And what do you want to add, Monica?
I agree with Pradeep. I just probably say that if you want like a do and a don't sort of a thing, I would basically say the first important do is to communicate. You have to, the day you feel you can't communicate to your partner, then you should really, sit back and see where things are going wrong. So it's very important that you keep nourishing the relationship and ensure that you're always able to communicate. So even simple things like I still remember, I'll tell you a couple of stories. One is when in the beginning of the relationship, I will, go to Pradeep and say, hey, Pradeep, I love you. And Pradeep will say, okay. Or he will say, thank you. He will say, I know. Or he will smile. But he never said, I love you too. And it bugged me. And I was like, how is this? Coming and telling him I love you. Except I love you too, he will say everything else. Okay, then at one point of time, I was like very, Pradeep, do you know that when I say I love you, you can also say I love you too, right? Like, okay, I never thought about it. Okay, from now on I will say. Even for, like simple things like this. Like if you feel that, see, the other way I could have reacted was like, How many times I'm telling him I love you? This fellow, he in his mind does not love me at all. He's not even saying I love you too. He's simply saying, okay, ka matlab kya hai? What does he mean? I know. Even I know I love her. I'm saying it now. Why doesn't he say I love you too back? So all of these nonsense feelings and noise, you should shut it down. You should communicate saying, Pradeep, I expect you to say I love you too when I say I love you. So after about 6 months or something, he started saying I love you too. So and I think it is very important to communicate and your expectations from the other partner.
Yeah. So here, what Monica is bringing is a very, very important point, especially in the Indian context, where I see even a lot of elderly people. First step is they are not aware of their emotions, and the second step is they are not able to express their emotions. To put it in a very simple way, like if my father was hungry, he will be angry, and he will not know that he is angry on the first place, and he will not know that he is angry because he is hungry. He will just be angry. And that is because at two levels. One, you don't realize where you are and why you are acting the way. In the same way, in a relationship between a man and a woman, if the guy or the girl is not able to clearly understand their feelings and express it, it is very difficult. So, especially in the Indian context again, every person should learn to watch their feelings closely and learn to express their feelings. The expression of feeling is somehow completely curbed in the Indian way of upbringing, and that is one area where everybody has to look into.
True. I'll tell you one more story. The female brain and the male brain works slightly different, right? So if I come to him with a problem, saying that, Pradeep, what happened in office today, what this fellow did, what she did, and so on and so forth. Pradeep is very analytical, so he will basically, slice and dice the problem and try and give me solutions. So this went on for a while, and then one day I told him, Pradeep, when I come to you to talk about my problems, I'm actually venting out. I am quite intelligent. I can figure out what the solutions are. I only want you to support me and say, don't worry, everything will be all right. That is all I expect to hear from you. So, don't slice and dice the problem. He'll even sometimes say, no, I don't think that guy is the problem. I think you have a problem. Things like that. When you're coming in, and venting out something that happened in the Hindi office or something like that. So, and again, one particular night, I was thinking of something that happened long back, and how difficult times they were. And then he started saying, why are you worried about those things? Those things happened long back. Now we are, somewhere else and so on. And I told him, Pradeep, you remember what I said? How, when a woman comes and vents to you, what should you do? Then, he so cutely paused for 30 seconds. And I'll, say that in Tamil. He said, don't worry, Rajati, everything will be fine. I am here for you. And, I started laughing. And then I said, this is what I expected you to say. Good, okay.
Yeah, very, very rightly put. Sometimes, or most of the times, it is not the solution people are looking for. It is just the support that people are looking for. If we are able to only give that support, the path they will be able to figure out themselves. They say if your friend comes with the same problem that you have, he comes to you for advice, you will be able to advise very well. But when you have to handle it, it is more challenging, right?
Monica, you have actually resolved big issue of the youth, I can say, who are going to fall in love to with two statements. I must tell you, with two statements you have is resolved. First thing is remove the noises. You should not speak with noises. Don't just be very clear, speak transparently, and make the thing happen. Second, women don't come for a solution.
Absolutely.
I'm very sure.
I know.
I'm remembering an incident actually when I told Shivam that someone called me, and I immediately started giving advices, and she just hang up the call. So Shivam told me that sometimes people don't call you to listen your advices or the solutions. They just call you to make you listen their problems and how they feel actually. So now I can understand.
And I said because Pradeep told me on phone when I was facing a big issue in my relation, he told me, Shivam, when she speaks to you, she's a mathematician. She can solve her problems. You do not need. He told me that your girlfriend is a mathematician. She can solve problems, but she wants you to listen. I said, okay.
Now I can understand.
Where the gyan is coming from? See,
Yeah, I learned it from Monica. Good teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pradeep, I want to ask you another point. I want to really ask another point. You have told me. I want you to tell the listeners that about the common saving account transparency.
Yeah.
It's
So I was
amazing thing. Yeah.
about to come there. Like we are, in another point between couples is financial transparency.
Surely you can.
Okay, the financial transparency gives a lot of strength in the relationship. Right. For example, the way we worked out since the start is we had a common account, and we would. As soon as we get our salary, we have estimated what would be our monthly running expenses and put that together into a common account, and that is for us to spend, and the rest of the salary is to save. So we have a common saving account and a common spending account in addition to the regular salary account we have. So as soon as we get a salary, the salary is split into two. One goes into spending and one goes into saving. And this helps because it gives a lot of confidence in the relationship for the other person. I know like couples where this is a repeated problem among couples. Like, they will not know how to spend the money, on what to spend the money, who should spend the money. All these things are repeated difficulties. And if there is financial transparency, it gives a lot of strength to the relationship.
true. So we still retain our individual account. So this is also again coming from the fact that there should always be you and I and then a we. You should always have a we component, and that doesn't mean you dissolve your individual components. So, and one more thing that I wanted to say was I asked again, continuing with the same question that you asked before, you wanted to know what shouldn't you do. So I think if there is one fundamental thing that anybody should not do in a relationship is you should never disrespect. The husband should never disrespect the wife. The wife should never disrespect the husband. So that is like whatever happens, that particular, even if it is the worst day ever, I'm not saying that we never have fights or anything like that. We also have fights, disagreements, everything, is there. But there is one fundamental line you should never cross. You should never disrespect each other. Whatever you want to talk, you talk it out. But you should never cross that line. I think that is also very important in a relationship. So one of the things that we have told each other is if somebody is crossing that line, the other person would say, let us not discuss this right now. So that is a statement that I can say, that is a statement that Pradeep can say. And if either of us say it, the other person should just shut up. whatever might be the urge, whatever might be that craving to, vent out, if somebody says, let us not discuss this right now, then that's a line that we should not cross. Which means we have to take the time out and come back. So again, that's something that we have worked out for ourselves, which may work out for others also. But again, see, these are things that we are talking when the relationship is not abusive, like normal relationships. But I don't think you should apply the same thing for abusive relationships. But in any normal relationship, I think these things should work.
Absolutely, Monica. So as we have discussed anything till now, it's about the brighter side of the relationship. So now I want to go to the dark side of the relationship. As Monica and Pradeep said that the core value, and after meeting the core value, after going to the relationship after marriage, I think you will agree that some people do change after all this aspect. And after someone change, how to hold up that marriage, or should it be end in a divorce, or how to resolve that marriage, or how to do that?
See, change itself is not bad. I think all of us, even in a normal relationship, we change. We change when a child comes into the relationship. We change. The relationship takes another twist. It again takes a different shape. And then with age, when you lose your physical fitness, and when you lose your physical independence, there is a change. So I think change is always a constant thing. But I always strongly feel that in a relationship you should never tolerate abuse. Either verbal, physical especially, and habitual abuses should not be tolerated. It is always better to get out of that relationship. Abusive relationships, you should get out of abusive relationships as soon as you can. Otherwise, you're not basically doing good for either of you. Right. So see, our country and our culture is not something that supports breaking a relationship. But I think when you feel that this relationship is not working out, it is very important. See, it is very important to constantly put effort to work out the relationship and nourish a relationship. It is also equally important to know when to quit. So, especially, I'm not just saying the husband is abusive. Even if the wife is abusive, right? I think you should decide at a point of time at the right time to come out of the relationship. Otherwise, it's very difficult. I'm not saying, when I say accept each other, I'm not saying accept an abusive wife or an abusive husband also. I'm not saying like that.
Yeah, definitely. And one point I wanted to really ask both of you was, in India, most are arranged marriage, and you are not able to get those time to match whether core values are right or wrong. Because on the first day when a boy will come or a girl will come, they will I never lie. These all things have been said between each other. Mm-hmm. Those are not identified, and those end up with abusive relationship. And even at that position, the women are not able to. I have to talk about the women because mostly are women who face abusive in India. Mm-hmm. So when they face it, they're not able to break that relationship also because they're dependent. They're dependent on it. So on those note, how it should be dealt in, and whether in that note also it is good to end up the relation even when you are not independent financially.
See, one thing that financial independence is something that you can set up any day. In today's world, financial independence is not something that you should be afraid of. You need the courage to just come out. Your life will be difficult. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to become financially independent. But that is a courage that you should take and come out. It is not impossible to be financially independent. So that should never stop you, and you should never allow yourself or subject yourself to torture and abuse, fearing whether you can be financially independent or not. That should not be a problem. Like in today's world, like even if you take some online classes, right, if not anything, or you take some tuition every day evening, you take tuition for the second grade, third grade, fourth grade children around your community and things like that, you should be able to make enough money to make ends meet. Yeah, right? I think you should have not having financial independence should never be a blocker in your head, because in today's world that's not impossible. But you should never, my only plea to women is, please don't be in a relationship which is toxic. So don't be afraid to step out and become financially independent. See, the other thing that they fear is if he or she, basically it's a she now, so she breaks that relationship and comes out, and she has to live with her mother and father, or brothers, typically sisters would have got married and gone out and so on. She doesn't want to become a burden to them. You don't have to become a burden to anybody. You could, still, I'm not saying go and live alone, because probably in India it might not be, really conducive for you to, live alone all the time. You could go back to your family, live there, but you could create yourself an avenue to be financially independent and not be a burden on them. That is still possible. And if you allow yourself to heal, right, if you allow yourself to heal and you become courageous enough to test waters again and involve in another relationship, that is still there. It's not like, one time you get married, you're in an abusive relationship, you break up. That's not the end of the world. Again, that's another thing, that you see in the Western world, that it is never the end of the world. I've had, even now, when you look at Western countries, I know a colleague so I work for the CAG audit, so I have a colleague in international audit who's about like 57 years old. She has a grandchild, and her husband died about 10 years ago, and after that she had a couple of boyfriends which didn't work out, and now she's in a relationship which is working out very well, and she's trying to get married at the age of 58 or 50, late 50s. So it is, but our culture and our country, in that context, you're not able to imagine these things happening around you. But whether you go forward and invest yourself in another relationship or not, please don't stay in a toxic relationship. It's very good. So take the first step. Come out. Stay with your parents. Be financially independent. Allow yourself to heal, and then let's see what happens.
Agreed. And in few days back, I was taking advice from Pradeep also, and he said a wonderful line. He said a very, very wonderful line, that the good should not suffer. Anyone, let the whole world suffer, doesn't matter. But in a relationship, if a woman is sacrificing every time, she should not suffer. She should not sacrifice every time. So if the relation is toxic, you should take a step. And I am very, obliged that you said one point, that if there is a will, there will be a way. You can find a way for the financial security. And we have to change this taboo mindset that, the relationship only ends up here one time, like, one only Pati Parmeshwar kind of. One time you are in relation, you're not going to be. And you have to look up, because the life is only one. You cannot be till 50 or 60 being in toxic relation, being, felt with so much bad things, being abused. And end of the day, you are going to pass away by thinking those dreams only, rather to end up things and to move up with it. If it's bad, people make mistakes, but same like, if you bought a sofa set, it doesn't mean that you bought it and you cannot leave it. You can leave it and you can go to another. That we should learn from the Western culture. Exactly. And this completely, I know I'm so happy that you raised this point, that you can take tuition classes, you can take, or you can go to, clothing kind of, sewing the clothes, anything. But rather than, it will be always better than being in a bad relationship. Do you want to add something, Pradeep?
Yeah. So, if only the girl equips herself to be more independent, then it is not a fertile ground for abusive relationship. Naturally, things will change. So, you see what I'm saying? If in many abusive relationship, the guy takes advantage of the dependency of the girl. If only, it is set straight that, the dependency is not there, but only the love and care and affection is there, but not the dependency. It's a whole different story. Nobody can be abusive to you. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So a relationship should not be built on the basement of dependency. A relationship should be built on the basement of love, care, affection, mutual interest, nurturing each other, and qualities like that, but never on dependency. For that matter, any relationship, be like parents to children, husband and wife, whatever, brothers, everything, the ideal state of the relationship where everybody is independent, but at the same time, they have love, care, and affection for the other person, then nothing will go wrong. Many of the problems which occur will just, they will become non-existent.
Wonderful. And the points whatever you have shared till now, you both of, I must say that they were very valuable point till now, and I won't be surprised if few of the people after watching our podcast will call you back and asking their relation problems to be solved by you. Really, believe me, because the small points which are very, very important, and you have grasped them up very nicely. Now, we spoke about all the relationship, everything. Now I want to come to a very important thing, and since I know Neha very properly, I met her. I want to ask you, like, you both work. For the listeners, Neha is daughter of Pradeep and Monica, and both of you work still and able to manage so nicely, family and the child. So, could you please share the tips and the parenting with the age cycle when the child is 1 year old? What should be the parents contributions, both the parents, when she is growing up or he is growing up? So with the cycle, what are the parenting tips you should give so that child psychology can grow up, and how you make your child responsible? Because I have seen Neha to be very responsible in this age. When I met her, the amount of the way questions she was asking Pradeep was very nice and very, calm and wonderful questions she was asking. She was not asking which were like very childish, but also in a very creative manner. So I wanted to ask how you worked on the parenting. You both worked on parenting and different age cycle when she was 1 year old or till now when she is around 7 or 8 year old. How you went through it.
Wow, Shivam, that's a whole episode by itself, I would say. But I will let Monica to brief it in a few sentences.
Okay.
Yeah, I would expect it to brief in a few steps. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just say it in a nutshell. Okay. The relationship between the mother and the father and the child, fundamentally, between the three of them or four of them, whatever it is, what you should agree again between the partners, husband and wife, is you never give contradicting, advices or instructions, or you never have contradicting things. If even in simple things like if I say don't eat ice cream and if Pradeep says yes you eat ice cream, then you should not put the child in a dilemma to choose. Okay, so between that, when both of us approach Neha, we are a team and we speak in one voice. That's tip number one. Tip number two is the child is independent. So I think I still remember she went to a Montessori school. I still remember when should you start giving choices. So her teacher basically said the child gets the choice of choosing whether to feed from the left breast or the right breast the day the child is born. So the child knows how to choose from day one. So you should respect the child's choices and encourage. There's a beautiful word called swayam, independence in the child, to make her choices, and you should understand that every day the child is becoming a individual, and you should respect her independence and choices. Third tip that I would say is, don't dismiss or disrespect a child's emotions. So the child is angry or coming and telling about something, and don't say, why? What are you doing? What you're just doing drama. You're just doing tantrum. You're just throwing it out. But instead, accept the emotion. Ask her or ask your child basically, why does he or she feel that way? Encourage them to deal with their feelings. You can't say you can't be angry right now. You can't say you can't be crying right now. Don't say things like that. Why are you crying? What makes you cry? Okay, can you choose something other than crying? Can you probably stop crying and tell me and communicate to me? So never disrespect a child's emotion or never dismiss a child's emotion. Help them, encourage them to deal with it. So when you do these three things, what you give the child is a very, very invaluable gift, which is confidence. You just as a parent has to ensure that you do these things so that the confidence of the child is not killed. Rest the child will take care. I think that there is nothing more to that. So go on.
Yeah, to that, I will also add, it is very important to give your child the basic life skills. In our country, especially, another big problem is even grown-ups don't have the basic life skills. You leave an adult at home by himself. In India, he does not know to wash, he does not know to cook, he does not know to take care of the house. While that is the most fundamental thing as a human, everybody should know. So when the child is very young, it is very important to teach them the basic life skills even before addition and subtraction and all the math and science that is taught in the schools. The basic life skills are very important. Just as humans to survive, what are the basic things that has to be taught to children? That's a very important aspect which we learned from the Montessori system of schooling that our daughters had, and it makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, and after witnessing, and I've seen personally Neha, and she's very responsible girl. So that's what I was wondering, like what all the parenting, and you should tell to listeners so that they can also.
Absolutely, and as Monica said, that confidence, it really matters. Actually, in my case, I am very much underconfident, and from the childhood, I was a very, very much shy person, and that leads me to a dark depression kind of stuff in my life. And I hope people, whoever will listen this podcast, will learn, will give the power of confidence to the child, and it will be really helpful for them. Thank you, Pradeep and Monica, for that.
Yeah, and Neha is also here, Shivam.
Oh, Neha is there. Hi, Neha.
Hi, Neha.
Hi.
So, Neha, I have a question for you. So, myself, Shivam. So, I have a question for you. That how are you?
I am good.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell the puzzle which you asked me. If I'm not wrong, the person who what is an animal who is having 2 legs and 3 legs when grow up, something like that. That puzzle. Could you ask our listeners that question?
Oh, first, who walks with 4 legs, then 2 legs, then 3 legs.
Oh,
So it's a question for our viewers actually. So comment down in the comment box your answer.
yeah. And so Neha, whom you like the most, Dada or mom?
I like both.
Wonderful. And what is the good qualities of mom and dad? Tell me. 3's of dad and 3 of mom.
Mm, my dad does a lot of exercises. He cycles, so that will go see. And my mom works in a lot of puzzles and works.
Wow.
So,
That's so nice, right? So that's why you are so creative, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Neha.
God bless you, Neha.
So,
Welcome.
how much, parenting, the way she's been parented till now in the 7-year-old, because when I see Dora, he was not having that much confidence because his parents never let him go outside to play even.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In Montessori, they, tell us again and again, all you have to do is not kill it. That's all.
Right. Correct.
Absolutely.
So,
And
I can tell you like one small example for it. So when you're asking a choice, right? They say you start with binary choices. You ask whether you want an apple and an orange. And they insist that you don't ask a choice in which if the child chooses either A or B, you will be unhappy. So for example, you should not ask whether you want ice cream or dosa. Because if the child chooses ice cream, you're going to make a, sad face. Always, start with choices where you give it in such a way that whether the child chooses A or B, you should be happy. So that sort of, builds confidence in the child, or at least not kills confidence, that I chose something and I got it. So, even small things like this. So they say in Montessori that, all you have to do is you don't kill a child's confidence and independence. That's all a parent has to do.
wow. So I asked the wrong question. I should not have asked that. Choosing between dad and mom. My bad. And yeah, I learned it. Thank you, Monica. And I really believe this happens because of parenting. Because see, when my dad was in army, and from my childhood, they gave me so much, openness that you can go anywhere, you can play anything, doesn't matter, and that made me to play a lot of things to grow up. But when I see others who have not given those chances when in this childhood, they really were not able. They gained the confidence when at the later age.
So here it comes the last question of the podcast, and probably the most favorite question of ours. So what is the things that you want to tell the young viewers of our channel? So what is the message to the youth about relationship?
Yeah, we call it as a message to youth.
Yes, about relationship, about career, anything.
Whatever the tips you have learned till now, this is the favorite session of our listeners. Message to youth.
Okay. I will just give 2 messages. One is love yourself. You are your best friend. And all the joy and the sorrow that happens to you is only because of you and not because of others. So please, love yourself. And the second thing that I will say is, do not be afraid to chase your dreams. So those are the 2 messages that I would probably give them.
Yeah, and Pradeep.
Yeah, so for me, I would say whatever you think, do it from your heart. Whatever little job there are, people like Monica who chase their dreams, who have a dream, who have a goal. There are people like me who started loving what I do. I did not have a dream. So if you have a dream, chase it. If you don't have a dream, do what you have in your hand with full enthusiasm. And that's all I have.
That's
Wonderful.
great.
And Yeah, you might have said in 2 lines that 2 tips, but Monica, you have given so many good information tips. For example, the first thing, never to feel ashamed of any job. Doesn't matter. At one certain time, you can do it. It doesn't matter. Second thing was, when you taught a 45-year-old guy, there is no age for chasing your dream. Doesn't matter. When I connect your dots, like it feels this was a great lesson. Then when you see your dream that it's gonna happen, let it do it. When you feel scared that you are not doing something, you have to take that risk. You have to take that moment risk, the way you took in US. And then the bus stop incident, when you felt like what you really love doesn't mean that it will be same shining thing, but that doesn't mean that you're going to leave it also. So you're going to try it up. Doesn't mean the things we're signing the way you expected is going to be the same way the country can be, but you are not going to leave your dream in that. And about relations, when you spoke about this noise should be avoided, that's a wonderful tip you gave. And the best thing I again will tell to the viewer that when a woman come to you with a problem, she is enough intelligent to solve it. Don't show your intelligence. Yeah, don't show your intelligence, boys. Keep it in your mind. Just let them tell you the thing. And I wanted to tell one tip to everyone. Even you can try. Every couple can try. I read in Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect. The point is that make a small note, very small notebook like a point. In that, every day write 1 point about your partner. 1 point. That point can be any silly or anything, but a good point. For example, if you saw today that she has washed, clothes very nicely, or he has washed the utensil very nicely, write it down that she washes clothes very nicely or utensils very nicely. If she has done a very good thing, she has told a thought very nice, write one thought every day about the partner. And on her birthday, next birthday or his birthday, give that book as a gift. It will be so nice, more than iBook or iPhone or MacBook. If you are gifting, it will be more cherished when you give that book. I heard in the Darren Hardy's book.
Very nice.
And
yeah, it is.
Yeah, exactly. And actually it gives the daily, if you put this effort, after 365 days it will give you a compound effect in that. And it's you just try it out. And please, listeners, you also try it out. This is a wonderful thing. Write one thing, irrespective. Even for your parents, you write it down. Even for your parents, you write it down. Even for your brother, whoever it may be, you write it down. 1 point every day, whatever it may be, the silliest to silliest or the most important to important. Then I also understood that we should not disrespect. The respect is very important in any kind of thing. And then the small steps you take which makes the things happening. And the last tips which you gave was love yourself. And it's a saving account also, having a common saving account, having a transparency. And it was wonderful session. I really must say I want to listen a lot from you guys, I think, but it was wonderful session. You want to say something, please do. We would love to hear anything from you at the last moment, please.
So I just had a fabulous time. I just had a fabulous time recollecting all these memories, and you put it out so nicely in the end. I could just see myself travel through it. So I am actually very obliged to you guys for giving me this opportunity to share. So thank you guys.
The pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. And
yeah, thank you guys.
And one line I want to say to every before by ending, that it's you and I, then we. Don't remove your individuality, but also do not leave the team effort. Always you are team. So guys, thank you for being such a wonderful audience to us. So guys, hope you love this show. Next time we'll again meet with a new hot guest with new experiences and new stories. We always love your support that inspire us to come up with new stories every time. We also believe that everyone have a story in their life worth learning from them, life worth emotional to weep on them, life worth growing with them, and life with knowledge sharing from them. If you have a similar story, please reach out to us in our Instagram page and become a part of our family, because every story matters for us every time, because we love you guys. Thank you so much.